Sometimes people ask me in the comments if I know what the dynamic range of the DJI Osmo Action 4 is, and honestly, I don't know. I've even tried to look that up on the internet and I can't really find an official number. So today I'm going to do a test in my home, and this is a test that you can do for your camera, not just the DJI Osmo Action, but pretty much any camera that you can think of. So let's see how much dynamic range this camera actually has. So this is how I will do the test. I'm gonna put a white screen on my laptop here, and I'm gonna make sure that the screen of the laptop doesn't change. So the brightness needs to be always at the same level. And then I'm gonna put my DJI Osmo Action 4 right next to the center of the screen, and I'll start recording a video. Actually, I will record multiple videos where I will be changing the exposure by 1/3 of a stop, and I will do this by changing the shutter speed. Now I'm also going to have to set the ISO to I think around 400, because that's the most common ISO that's being set on this camera automatically. But on the other hand, I want to get a set of videos that start from completely black and go to completely white, and the way I will change the exposure is by changing the shutter speed. I'll be doing this test for two scenarios. First for the normal colors, and then we'll switch to D-Log M and see how much higher of a dynamic range we actually get if we choose the D-Log M 10-bit. Because for instance on this Sony a7 IV, if I shoot with S-Log 3 and 10-bit colors, I get 14 stops of dynamic range. You know, but on a teeny tiny camera like this, we'll be lucky if we get more than 10 stops. Now before we get into Davinci Resolve, first of all, I'm holding this microphone in my hand because I've seen YouTubers do that. And well, it's, you know, it takes away all the echo in the room, even though I try to remove the echo with the foams. It helps, but this is, you know, this is so easy. It looks weird, I know. So here we are in Davinci Resolve, and I already have the videos here, and I've already set up the test. So here you can see the videos, all 1/3 increment increases. So as you can see, if I move the playhead, the image is getting brighter. Now it's really important to always look at the same part of the screen when we're doing this test. In my case, I've created an adjustment layer where I've masked out everything around. If I go into the Fusion page, I've just added an ellipse mask which masks out everything around the center. And I've also zoomed in so that we see the circle a little bit better. So now if we go into the colors page and open up the waveform, go back into the edit, we can actually see the central circle in the waveform. So we're starting from the blacks on the waveform. I've already deleted a few exposures before, so this is the starting point. And now when I start to move the playhead for these 1/3 stop increments, we can see the waveform getting higher, all the way brighter to the max. And here beyond this, nothing is actually happening. So this is like the last change right over here. So this would be the maximum our camera can see in the highlights, and I've placed a blue marker here, also the one in the beginning. And this, everything here is now the dynamic range of the camera. Now first we're looking at the D-Log M test, and then we'll go to the normal colors where I did exactly the same thing as before. So now, since I know that every one of these clips is a 1/3 of a stop increment increase, well, we can count how many thirds of a stop we have. So 1/3, 2/3, full stop. 1 1/3, 1 2/3, 2 stops, 3 stops, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 1, 2. So 10 and 2/3 of a stop of dynamic range for the D-Log M picture profile on the DJI Osmo Action 4. Now if we look at the normal colors where we go the same way, so starting from the black and all the way to the max, to this blue marker which I've placed over here, we can now count the stops here as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 1 stop. So before it was 10 and 2/3 of a stop, and here we have 9 and 1/3 of a stop. So it's like a roughly 1.5 stop increase if we choose the D-Log M over the normal colors, which is quite significant. This is why it's always recommended that you use D-Log M if you want to get the most dynamic range. Now 10 and 2/3 of a stop is not a game changer, but it's good enough for an action camera. Now I've also placed these yellow markers over here. Now these are the ones where I see with my own eyes. Now I'm conducting this test on my computer in the software where I'm editing, so the 10 and 2/3 of a stop is relevant to me, even though maybe the sensor would have a higher dynamic range. Well, this is what I get from my workflow, so 10 2/3 of a stop for D-Log M. But I've also conducted a test of how much I see on the monitor. Now this really much depends on what type of monitor you have, what type of computer you have, how bright everything is. And from the scenario where I am right now, this is like my color grading and editing space, I actually see the first change happen over here. So from this point on, if I'm looking at the screen, I'm starting to see the circle appear, and beyond this point over here, I can't actually see any difference in the brightness. So here we have a tiny bit of a difference, and then beyond here, it's over. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this on YouTube because of all the compression, but if I count how much my eyes see, it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 1/3, pretty much exactly like the normal colors. And with the normal colors, it's even less. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 2/3 of a stop. So this is how much my eyes are actually seeing. Now this is not a scientific test, but it is how much dynamic range I see with my eyes when I'm editing the videos. But if I look at the waveform, as I said before, 10 2/3 of a stop with D-Log M, and what was 9 1/3 of a stop for normal color. Okay, so some final thoughts on this topic. I'm really surprised at how much dynamic range we're able to squeeze out of these cameras. And of course, D-Log M does make a difference. It's not much, but it is worth using it. And you can really grade your footage nicely because it's 10-bit. So if you're into color grading, I definitely recommend the D-Log M picture profile over the normal picture profile. You know, and that's it. I hope this answers the questions. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, hit the like button for the algorithm. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, and if you want to stay, well, stay with one of these two videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.